No, yeah, this was my face because I just got done saying, where's Joe Shimoda at, man? Next thing I know, they pan over and Joe Shimoda's laid it down in his heat race, So, I mean, there's a lot to talk about in A1. There's some great things, some standouts from the 250 class to the 450 class, but we're just going to jump into it and talk about some of the highlights that I thought were worthwhile. Let's roll in. Honestly, the first thing I really want to call out is I believe it's RJ Hampshire's year in the 250 class, guys. It's his year, but Jordan Smith was looking pretty solid. I mean, like clearly here, you can see them battling out, but like this is where RJ makes me so nervous because RJ's very impatient, right? And the whole time I was watching him in his heat race, I was like, yo, RJ's going to try to go for a pass when he doesn't need to go for this pass, and he's going to end up laying himself down on it, man. But luckily, he didn't. And as a matter of fact, RJ ended up having one of his best nights that he's had to start a season. So it was grand to see him and Jordan Smith being consistent and not laying it down because both of those riders are known and notorious for making the simplest mistakes, pushing a little too hard and laying it down and just ending their night just like that. We are probably going to talk about this little off camber single to the turn like a lot because it claimed a lot of souls from Cooper Webb to Nate Thrasher to Malcolm Stewart. And this guy, which I don't know his name right off the gate, I'll figure it out at some point, but this guy got completely throwed. And when we seen it happen, I'm thinking, rookie mistake, but it ended up being a just destroyer of a lot of riders throughout the evening at A1. Can we talk about Julian Beaumer for a second? I call him Jet Ski because I didn't even realize this kid was a professional jet ski racer. And then he comes out at A1, and I'm telling you, he is somebody that we're gonna have to keep our eyes on because the kid was showing some mad potential. Like he was riding very well. He faded a little bit in his heat race. He faded a little bit in his main event. But at the end of the day, that Julian Bomer kid, aka the jet ski, was riding so well. And it was very interesting to see that skill. Because last year I know he ran a few races at the end of the season, but like it's great to see him out there and he's actually contending with some of these kids that I just wouldn't have anticipated him contending with. So this heat race, the gate drops, man, and I that look, it's jet ski. I mean, getting the whole shot in the in the heat race, which heat races aren't that big of a deal, but still, yet it was like, whoa, where'd this kid come from? He's in front of Levi Kitchen. He's in front of Max Bolan, which Max Bolan and Levi Kitchen actually did really good in the main events. I was excited to see them. Max Bolan was honestly another standout rider who switched from KTM over to the Pro Circuit Kawasaki team and was riding very well, in my opinion, very well. So honestly, as I was watching A1 and we were watching these heat races with the 250s, and I was kind of like, all right, so everybody's saying Levi Kitchen's on fire. He's got that new passion. He's on that new team. And it wasn't long after like people were saying this, saying this, saying this in this heat. I looked over and Levi had actually washed out. And it's funny because I think Levi Kitchen is definitely a rider that we have a lot of good promise for. We have a lot of excitement for. There are some riders that have moved out of the 250 class, whether it be East or West, and there's some riders that we anticipate being like top tier. RJ Hampshire, Jordan Smith, Levi Kitchen being a few of them, and of course Joe Shimoda. But it seems like the people that I'm like kind of really rooting for the most are the ones that are kind of watching out, making these early on simple mistakes. We have a long season ahead of us, and we know that, but it's still like it's kind of gut wrenching to see little things like this happen early on. So let's just hop into the 450 heat races. I mean, you see the guy on screen, the guy we were all super excited to have on the track, right? Eli Tomac in 2023. He suffered that crazy injury that took him out for the rest of the Supercross season, and we didn't get to see him in the outdoor national season, and we didn't get to see him in the SMX finals or anything like that. So there was a lot of hype coming up for whether or not Eli Tomac was going to be able to contend with Jet Lawrence. Would there be a battle between those two? And I think we had that huge hype train running just because is Eli Tomac, man, and we want to see Mac Daddy do what Mac Daddy does. But as we can probably remember, Eli doesn't always start a season off strong. He typically warms into it, rides consistently, makes very good decisions, and kind of stays on top of what he needs to. He's a very smart rider. So it was kind of like, are we gonna see Elon Tomac really go in on the first race of the season, A1? Or are we going to see our typical Tomac? And I mean, it proved throughout the rest of the evening that, we were going to see the regular Tomac that just was going to warm into it. And then, we got Chase Sexton, who crazy swap. He gets the championship on Honda, then moves to KTM, and he takes the red number one plate with him. And we're like, all right, so what's this guy gonna do? What's Chase Sexton gonna do on his on the start of it all? And his last season, insane. The guy crashed all the time, but the guy got up all the time, and he always, finished the race. And it was just like, how could you crash this much and still finish the race, like still do this, still win a championship? But Chase Sexton showed us that getting up and being as consistent as you could possibly be is another key to winning championships. We've seen that. And then jump into the start, right? We got Hunter Lawrence was on the gate there, so Hunter Lawrence is out there doing his 450 debut, which expectations for him were, I wasn't sure where I'd even expected Hunter Lawrence to really perform at the end of the day as far as that goes. I mean, he's a pretty smart rider, he does pretty good, but we've seen off the rip, Vince Freezy not doing anything crazy, cutting in, trying to get the whole shot, and there it is. Like, he just clips Hunter enough, right? Hunter's just in the wrong spot. Clips him enough. Hunter rolls, gets knocked a little bit. He takes Chase Sexton out with him, and it's just a lot goes down in that first turn, right? The rest of the race was, I would kind of say, mediocre. Ken Roxon, of course, wins the heat race. There were some other cool things going on. Malcolm Stewart's there. He's there. And I thought Malcolm was gonna do a little bit better, but Malcolm's gonna do what Malcolm does. Yet again, I love Malcolm Stewart. I love James Stewart, but I don't know. Malcolm comes out there, he rides every season, and we want to see him do good every season, but he just ends up being mediocre every season. I would love for that to change. I would love for that to change, but in this particular instance, we just see our series championship leader from last year and champion Chase Sexton go down, and we also see Hunter Lawrence go down, which it did not get better for Hunter by the end of all the things. It didn't. It doesn't get better for him. Matter of fact, the next thing we see after Hunter gets caught up in all that is his brother's reaction. His brother's angry reaction and upset. Of course, I would say it was more of Jet being like, "Yo, I can't believe this happened to my bro. Is he okay?" Kind of reaction. But it's also like, yeah, this guy, this happened. It's natural. His natural reaction to it. We wanted to see Hunter show up and show out. And we didn't really get to see that. Um, we didn't get to see that all night. We didn't get to see that in the main, which was probably one of the biggest surprises of the night, to be honest with you guys. Cutting back to it though, there's Ken Roxon doing his thing, riding his race. I mean, Kenny had a great heat race. Of course, his main event was a little troublesome as well. But Kenny looked really good, was riding at a great pace at the end of it. And I love Ken Roxon. I want to see him get a dub, kickstart Kenny for the win. Like we want to see that. Definitely. So we jump into 450 heat number 2, right? Um, the names on that one were still some big names. Dylan Ferrandis is out there, Jason Anderson out there, Jet Lawrence out there. There's Justin Barsha out there. Like, there was a lot of big names in this one too. Not all championship contenders or championship riders, but Cooper Webb was even in this heat. And I will say that this was probably a really chill heat as well, right? Like, it was good to watch the way this one turned out. Great start. It was about as clean as it could get. To see Jet in the lead off rip, no surprise. Like, we had a good feeling that Jet was going to be a standout for the night, and he proved that he was in his heat race. But it was also phenomenal. It was great to see that Jason Anderson, comes out with some heat, some pizzazz, some style. Like, Jason Anderson might be back to an extent, and that was really exciting to see. But I'm going to tell you guys, Cooper Webb is probably the one guy that surprised the crap out of me at the end of the day. Because Cooper said, "Hey, here's an opening. I'm going to take it. and he puts that good old block pass on Jet. And it was like, what? Yo, this is crazy. Like, I was kind of off the wall about that one because to me that was like Cooper Webb saying statement ride, I'm here, baby. It's going down. I ain't playing no games. So I really enjoyed seeing that. And of course, when we go look at the main event, we're gonna be able to see some action pop off in regards to that. We'll jump back into that one once it goes down as well. And heat race starts to kind of level out. We got 2 laps to go, and we see Jet starting to put this nice charge on, man. And I'm telling you, it was a really nice charge. He hit those whoops really clean. He was going to take this outside line and make it work, and then you see him get cross-threaded just enough to kind of throw him off balance. Because in my opinion, if he hadn't have had this mishap, I think Jet would have taken the heat as well. But it was just enough for him to hit that tough block, lay it down for a little bit, which was a really graceful fall. It was actually a really graceful fall. Like it wasn't like off the wall crazy, and we didn't get hurt. Graceful fall, was still able to, get past and make it to the main event. But I'm telling you, man, the kid had a line and he was showing some real speed. I think he was gonna make that pass solid. But there was a little intervention, a divine intervention, some would call it, when he got cross-threaded right there and just landed on those tough blocks. And here it is. The downfall, okay? The clincher of the LCQs, of the 450s, okay? We see we see Jet trying his damnedest to take this inside line and make this work. I mean, he ran it in so hard through the sand section there. He was really coming up. He made a really quick get up, and then boom, it's just not enough. Just not enough. I mean, he wasn't at the end of it, he wasn't even close. And I think this is the big conversation here, man. We know he had a bad start in the LCQs. Actually, I think he planned that start. I think he tried not to get in the mess in the LCQs, man. I think he tried to start from the back and imagine that he had plenty of time to work his way through the pack and then, get back up there as he did in the outdoors on 250s, right? We've seen him do this in the outdoors 250s. There's a few times where Hunter got tore up on a start, and the next moto, he laid back and he worked his way through the pack for a decent, great finish. But we got to remember LCQs are no time at all. You don't have a 20-minute moto. You don't have or a 30-minute moto. You don't have that. You have a very limited amount of time to get from the start to the finish and get into that first 4 positions to slide you in. And I think Hunter completely misjudged this. I'm not saying that he made a bad decision. He probably has better racecraft than I could ever dream and hope and imagine for. But I have to assume that he just didn't anticipate that he would run out of time. And on the final lap, to be that close to that 4th place transfer and just to miss out so close. And then not be able to line up for the main event. And I know that crushed him because this is his 450 debut, period. Not just motocross, it just supercross. 450 debut on the Honda, moved up, had a tough heat race, and then turns around and has what I would call a dismal LCQ, right? And didn't even make it to the main event. And I know a lot of people are gonna hate on him for that. I'm not gonna hate. I'm gonna say chalk it up to, it's fresh, man. You're just now starting out on this 450. You're learning the field. You see what's different. You got different riders. You got to understand how they ride. You might know from the visual side of things, but you don't know from the actual practical side of things. And I think Hunter just fell victim to just not knowing what it really be like. And he learned pretty daggone quick. And I imagine, that the next round, we're going to see a different, more fired up version to get things done early on and not try to be too patient and not be too scared off the start because it was a freak accident. No one said it was going to happen again. And then, it didn't, he didn't really have the opportunity for it to happen again because he didn't make it to the main. But I think Hunter is just learning. He's seeing, and that's all anybody can do anyway. So on to the main events, right? So right off the gate, something weird's going on with Nicoletti's bike. seemed like an electrical issue, a power issue of some sort. They worked on it for quite some time, and ultimately he just said, "Yeah, we're I can't line up." So you get to this gate, and you see these boys on the gate, right? And I'm already guessing. Like, look at Marchbanks has like the perfect roll start, and he kind of bobbles a little bit. I think 55 might have just kind of got him a little bit because that gate drop was about perfect for his roll on. And on this main event, I was really anticipating to see not jet ski. I didn't expect to see jet ski, but jet ski, man. Oh, Julian Bomer, jet ski was up there leading the pack, getting that whole shot, man. Leading the pack in front of Levi Kitchen, in front of Jordan Smith, in front of RJ Hampshire, in front of Maximus Volan, in front of Joe Shimoda. Like, was like, holy cow, this Julian Bomer, this jet ski, guys, we're gonna have to keep our eyes peeled for this kid this season because I think he's literally gonna be a standout, not necessarily rookie, but rookie, because he did ride a little bit of the professional last year. I think he was on Yamaha near the end of it, and he was riding well at that time, but this is still beyond expectations of what old jet ski was actually gonna be putting out. Overall though, the 250 moto got a little interesting, not too crazy. Joe Shimoda, my man Joe just did not get the good start. Which I love Joe Shimoda. I want him to do great, but he takes too long to warm up, but once he's on fire, I feel like he does really showcase his ability, his speed. And I think it's smart for us to stop, pause, and say, "Oh man, look at all these different changes that Joe's probably going through." I personally would have loved to see Joe stay at Kawasaki. I think that would have been optimal for him. But I know his opportunities to learn from the Lawrence brothers is maybe better there than if he was to stay with Kawasaki. I don't know, but it's cool to see him riding red. But I think Green Machines was where he was finding his growth. But we'll give him the season, and we can really see what he flourishes and turns into by the end of it. And I mean, I really do feel like it's a great idea to talk about Jordan Smith, man. I mean, yeah, Levi Kitchen is coming up, as a rookie, but Jordan Smith has dialed in a little bit more than what I expected because we all know Jordan Smith tends to wash out, wipe out, and I don't know, poor performance typically, right? Injury plagued, and then small mistakes. It ruins it for him. But A1 was actually a solid night for Jordan Smith. He was showing some good speed. He was showing some raw speed. I was excited to see how he was doing. I thought maybe he was gonna put more of a run on than what he did, but he still, in my opinion, finished out very well. And like I say, there were certain riders like Levi Kitchen and Max Volan who kind of faded and then flourished, and then kind of I didn't even know what those two were doing there for a little while because I was watching Max and Levi go at it, and it was kind of like, yo, are they kind of just pacing each other? Are they just riding with each other right now? Because it just didn't look like they were being super competitive there for a hot bit. It just looked like they were just riding to ride the race, and I was kind of watching body language and things like that, and it just didn't look like either one of them were pushing too hard because here comes riders to pass them while they were racing one another. It was very peculiar. So of course, like here, we see Nate Thrasher, Voland, and we've got Levi Kitchen all lumped up right here. And this is where I'm saying, like, I was watching those two ride, and they were just going through their motions, man. And this is where Thrasher was catching up, Shimoda was catching up, and I was kind of like, yo, what are they kind of doing right now? Are we seeing them really racing one another, or are they kind of just riding in a zone? Because I didn't see any actionable passes coming up. And I guess the reason why that concerns me is like they're both on the same team, right? They're both on the same team. And maybe that's why we're not seeing them really go for the passes, the block passes, or really trying to engage one another. They're playing it safe, which I don't think that's a problem per se, but racing's racing. We might be on the same team, but racing's racing. There comes a point where I've got to be a little aggressive in how I get by you if you're holding me up. And it was really interesting because once Levi Kitchen did pass Volan, it didn't seem like he left Volan. So maybe that's just the speed that both of them were running at. Maybe they were just both at that comfortable speed and relaxed where they could ride as effectively as they could and not override or underride. And it really meant that they were matched up, which for Levi, I would say that might be a problem because Volan's a little bit less experienced in my head than you. You should be cooking. Levi Kitchen should be cooking Maximus Volan, right? And we're about to step into this part where we see Nate Thrasher really take a little bit of a thrashing, pun intended, because Nate came off that off camber, and I'm telling you guys, this jump ruined a few guys. It got Malcolm Stewart too, right? It got quite a few dudes this evening, and Thrasher, like you see it, you see he comes off right, and he's just like you know what I mean, like he's in the bars are in his chest right here, and you see that wobble, and then it smacks him. He kind of just smacks the ground, which I know some of you guys have probably had crashes like this before where you just kind of pound the ground, but watch him because he bounces. There's a bounce in there. There's a bounce in there. Um, there's a roll to it. Like, mind you, he gets up pretty quick to get off the track, but I'm saying, man, Nate Thrasher took a hit right there. It didn't really look immediately like that hurt, but the way he went on those bars and then it just walloped him straight to the ground, and you just got to think it knocked the sense out of him and the breath out of him in that crash. So like I would imagine that rocked his world because he didn't finish the race. He was done after that. And it's really sad because that's the Nate Thrasher story. That is the Nate Thrasher story. Nate looks really good. He's riding. He started pulling up. He was being competitive. He had caught up to fifth and fourth place. He looked like he was in a great position to go ahead and make those passes by the end of the race. I think Nate Thrasher probably could have pulled up to a third place finish by the end of it if this didn't occur. But Thrasher did get up. He got carted off. I hope to see him back next weekend. I hope to see him back on the next weekend. The next thing that really popped up in the 250 main event was this moment between Max Volan and Levi Kitchen. So we know we had that red cross, and if you watch right here, even though right, so he triples, Volan triples, and immediately shuts it down. And I think Kitchen doubles and then shuts it down. So it was like, oh man, in my opinion, Kitchen shouldn't have doubled, but he couldn't really stop that momentum safely. And I think that was just the best he could really do. I don't know if that goes anywhere at the end of the day. You see a good scrub by Volan. Look at that Volan scrub right there. But right here, they get clear of it. Volan scrubs, Levi doubles. And to me, that's when Levi makes that pass and kind of makes it stick. So I'm not sure, like, at the end of the day, what was right or wrong there. But watch Volan still come back with heat and intensity and, picks that battle back up. And that's why I say I think the two of them were just evenly matched. I think both of them were just evenly matched in a way that it didn't look like they were really riding hard because they were just on the same pace at the end of the day. 450 main event. 450 main event. Yeah. You want to call it? You probably already know, right? Like, there was a lot to be expected in this 450 main. I didn't know where it was gonna go. I didn't know. I had a feeling. I had a want. Better yet, I had a want that Tomac was gonna slap that mug down, buddy. I thought Tomac was gonna go out and prove a point. Wasn't Tomac out there proving a point, guys? Matter of fact, off this start, right? Off this start, they didn't even play games, dude. Off this start, they didn't even play games. Who? Who? Yeah, Jet Lawrence, baby. Off the rip, off the start, already ready to go. We knew it was coming. And to see Jason Anderson hanging tight in there, to see not Justin Cooper, Cooper Webb in there, hanging tight, bro. They were hanging tight. And I was like, oh shit, okay. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun to watch because Cooper Webb might be pushing Anderson up on Jet, and we might get a battle. About that. I mean, we did get a decent battle here with Cooper Webb and Jason Anderson there for a bit, and then of course almost near the end of it, we see that Cooper Webb kind of makes a tremendous mistake, one similar to what we had seen in the race with Nate Thrasher, right? But Cooper Webb was hanging in tight. I feel like he was pushing Jason Anderson pretty well. Um, but everybody was like, "Yo, I think Cooper Webb's faster. I think Cooper Webb is faster than Jason Anderson. I think if Webb gets past Anderson, we might actually see Webb pull up on Jet Lawrence, maybe." And we were like, "Oh snap! Here comes the pass. This is it. This is where Cooper Webb makes the pass." But I don't think Cooper came into this turn properly, and he didn't really have the line that he wanted, right? He tried to push Jason Anderson way out. Jason said, "No, sir, no, buddy, nope, 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 nope. We're going to drag this thing out, and I'm going to have that inside line over the next jump, and I'm going to box you out." And you see Cooper kind of lose balance, just hair long enough for Anderson to just go ahead and pull out, pull off, and go. That was probably the biggest battle based thing that we saw in the main event. And this is, don't get me wrong, I love Jet Lawrence. Okay. Kid's capable. The kid's a machine. He came out there, he won his debut Supercross race. Anaheim won as a rookie and won it. Nobody had done it. It took James Stewart 3 tries. It took the king of Supercross, I don't know, was like 6 or 9, and it took RC 21. So I'm like, whoa, this kid's on to something, guys. I mean, if he's not breaking records, he's breaking the record books themselves. Lawrence is a beast. Let's talk about it. We were bringing it up beforehand because we thought it was about to go down. We were bringing it up, and then we actually finally get to see Cooper Webb do the thing, right? He does the thing that ultimately kind of finishes his night, right? This ruins him. This was the face on this jump had gotten slick. It was causing loop outs and then bucks. And he got bucked and he took a tumble. I mean, he really did. You look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Homie went bow. I mean, bow. Like, that's tough. That's a tough roll. Dazed, picks the visor up, stumbles over, gets to the bike, finishes the race. Cooper Webb is serious this season. He stays healthy. Cooper Webb is serious this season. And if he gets to start, I don't know, man. This is going to be a really fun season to watch. I think a lot of great things happened. I think a lot of great things were going down. I believe we were seeing some raw action, and a good idea of how this season might go, and I'm pumped for it. I think Anaheim 1 gave us an idea of what this road is going to look like. And we know that there's going to be some growth, whether it be in the 250 or the 450 class. Things might change a little bit, but I think Cooper put a standout show out, and Anderson put a standout show out. And I'm not. I mean, I already knew that Jet was going to be there. Tomac was my if then maybe, and I feel like Tomac will come to it, and he will start to put in work. But we have a long road ahead of us for the entirety of the series and the SMX series itself. So I'm pumped. I'm excited. I don't think we could have asked for more. Uh, but yeah, guys, A1 definitely did not disappoint. I'm ready for more already, for sure.